Hi, thanks for tuning in today. Today I've got a review for you on this Bible right here. It's the King James Version Interlinear Bible, King James Version, Revised Version. This Bible almost became my primary Bible. In fact, it did for a little while. So I want to kind of take this in a few distinct categories. I'm going to talk to you about, the leather. I'm going to talk to you about paper quality. I'm going to talk to you about the font size, things of that nature. I'm going to have several different categories I'm going to review this in. And I hope this review is useful to you. And let's take a look at this Bible. So this Bible is put together by Cambridge University Press. I really like it. It's very beautiful. It's a larger Bible, paste down liner. I've had it for a while, as you can see, and fortunately this page is crinkled right here. But what it gives you is it's the King James Version in conjunction with the Revised Version. So how this works, it's a little bit different than the two-version Bible that I had reviewed by Crim & House. This one, and I'll show you, but first let's look at some of this front page matter here. It's printed and bound in the Netherlands. It has a basic description of the Interlinear Bible. And lets you know about the different symbols that are used. But let's take a look at how this is used. This will give you, when the Revised Version of, I think, 1885 or 1881, I don't remember, when the Revised Version and the King James Version agree, there is nothing unusual, right? It's just in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. That's the same wording as in the King James as in the Revised Version, so that's the same. But when it splits, when there's a difference, so verse 2 here, and the earth was waste, or without form in the King James, and void, it splits. So the top line gives you the Revised Version, and the bottom line gives you the King James Version. So whenever the Revised Version, the King James Version split, the lines also split. So if you wanted to read this in the Revised Version, it'd be, and the earth was waste and void. If you wanted to read it in the King James Version, and the earth was without form and void. It has a nice center column reference. And one of the really nice things that I like about this is that it gives you the marginal readings of both the Revised Version and also the King James Version. So I think you can see the basic layout of this, how it works. It splits apart where the King James Version and the Revised Version part ways. They, especially in the Old Testament, some of these are more few and far between. Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video, and I hope it's adding value to you. This isn't just a shameless plug to ask you to hit the like button or the subscribe button. What I want to tell you is that there is one drawback to this Bible, and towards the end of the video I'm going to be sharing that with you. So stay with me. I want you to see that drawback. You need to see this before you decide whether you want to buy this or not. So stay with me to the end of the video. And yeah, if you do want to hit the like button and subscribe button, that's awesome too. Thanks. United. So that's the basic layout. I should tell you as well that it has in the back, it has the differences between the Revised Version and the American Standard Version, not to be confused with the New American Standard Version. So when the Revised Version first came out in the late 1800s, early 1900s, the American Translation Committee, American Translation Committee examined the Revised Version. They had some things that they wanted to change. from what they had. So the American Standard Version was very close to the Revised Version with a few differences. So you can see in the book of Mark, I mean, that's all the differences there are. But so that's also kind of handy. So basically, in a sense, I guess you could say you've got, well, when you've got the marginal notes of the American, when you get the marginal notes of the King James Version and the marginal notes of the Revised Version, you've got the King James Version, the Revised Version, their marginal notes, plus the variations from the American Standard Version. So quite a bit of information there. I think that's really nice. So let's get into some more. That kind of covers the basic contents of what this Bible is. So let's look at the paper quality next. Okay, so let's talk about the paper quality. That's one thing that's a little bit lacking. This is a very thin paper. However, you can see a little bit of the ghosting there, but it is not difficult to read. The ghosting is not such that you have any trouble. In fact, the print here is quite large until it splits off. So the paper quality, while thin, I think is compensated by the nice, large, dark, and easy to read print. So I would say paper quality is low, but yet it's offsetted by the print quality. The next thing I want to tell you about is the generous margin space that you have here. It's very nice. Even in the gutter, you have room to write. On the outer edge, you've got about an inch of an inch and an eighth on this outer edge here. So that's really nice. So yeah, you got a lot of room to make your own notes, and I think that's a real benefit of this. Okay, next I'll just tell you that the binding is a nice sewn binding, as you would expect from Cambridge University Press. So the binding's very nice. Next, let's talk about the leather. This is a nice thick leather, and I like the way it feels. Feels really good. As I mentioned at the beginning, it's a paste down liner, but very nice. I feel like that leather's going to last a long time. Like I said, I really like this Bible. I'll just tell you that it has, I think that has the art gilt there. So you've got gilded edges plus, it's kind of a reddish tint underneath it. It's hard to see with the camera there, but that's what that is. You get two nice ribbon markers. So let's move on and talk about the font size. Okay, so the font size here. Let's see if we can determine what size font this is. I'm going to say we are somewhere around about a 10-point font. I mean, that's a really big font size for a Bible like this. But then when the King James Version and the Revised Version split apart, then you're talking, I don't know, maybe down to 6.5, something like that. So I don't find it hard to read, but I've got pretty good eyesight for up close. So I think the font size is really nice and readable. Now, in just a moment, I'll tell you why this did not become my primary Bible. And so stick with me here. And before we do, though, let's talk about the size and portability of this. So the dimensions on this, 7 1/4, 9 1/2 by about 1.5 inches. So it's very comparable. Let me show. So it's almost identical in size to my Cambridge Concord Bible. Like I said, it's maybe a little bit thinner than my Cambridge Concord. Oh, let me mention to you too, I forgot to mention this is important. This has nice ruled lines in the back, so that is really nice and handy if you want to take your own notes back there. And that is a nice thick paper for note taking, so that is a huge plus. I forgot to mention that. Probably should put that in with paper quality, but that's really nice. So yeah, they're about the same size there. Let me kind of zoom out and you can kind of see it a little bit in comparison to me. Yeah, so here you can kind of see it a little bit better in comparison to me, you know, a person. It's a big Bible, but it's definitely manageable. Like I said, it's very similar in size to the Cambridge Concord. So yeah, size-wise, I think it's nice. I think it's good. A little big, but not too bad. Okay, so I told you I would tell you about the one drawback that I can see with this and why it didn't become my primary Bible. So let's zoom down in the text and I'll show you. So the reason why this did not become my primary Bible is because when you get into the New Testament, and there's some books that are harder than others, but like particularly in the book of Revelation, there were a lot of times where it just got too confusing. So if you're trying to read it from the pulpit, and you're trying to read from the King James Version, for example, it just gets, all that right there, it just gets confusing. I tried to offset it by trying to like underline the King James Version so I could follow it along, but it just became kind of too much. So I'm going to say, you know, if you get nimble at it, you probably could manage this. It was a little bit too much for me to try to, you know, if you're just reading it for yourself and you're not in the pressures of, you know, speaking before people or something like that, then maybe you can just handle it. But for me, it was just a little bit too much. So my overall impressions of this Bible, I love it. I think one of the great advantages of it is that you can get a comparison between the Byzantine text type and the Alexandrian line. Westcott and Hort were very influential in the translation of the Revised Version, and their Greek text was also a big influence there. The Greek text of Westcott and Hort is very, very similar to what's being used now in more modern translations. So by having this Bible, you have before you a complete King James Version Bible in comparison, and basically it kind of gives you a flavor of the textual variations that you'll find in more modern Bible translations. So for that reason, absolutely love this. One of my absolute favorite Bibles. As I said, there's one drawback that kind of held me back from this becoming my main Bible, but in the end, I think this is a great Bible. I love it, and I heartily... So did you notice this? You've made it a long ways into this video, and I want to tell you I appreciate you watching. So when we hit the 230 subscriber mark, I'm going to announce another giveaway to celebrate the 200 when we hit 250 subscribers. It tends to grow really fast when we announce a giveaway, but if you're watching this, you're probably one of those really loyal people to this channel, and I want to tell you just how much I really appreciate you watching and being a part of this. Thanks for liking these videos and subscribing, sharing, and all that. And just want to give you a special thank you.